Matthew here from MiniWarGaming.com, bringing you another beat map Batrep.
We work so you can play. MiniWarGaming's beat map Batrep.
We've got Nick back. Kind of sounds funny. Anyways, with his Dark Eldar, except it's not against my Tyranids, it's not against my Space Marines. That's right, it's against my Necrons. You probably already knew that because the title of the battle report is Necrons versus Dark Eldar battle report, so that's a bit of a spoiler there. But I've actually managed to muster up in the very first week 1,250 points. It's actually 1,242, but I didn't have an 8-point upgrade to take, so that's the best I could do for this Cities of Death beat map Batrep. I'm very excited for this because it's the first time I get to bring out my new toys. It's going to be, I think it's going to be an interesting game though, because, well, we'll take a look at the armies and you'll see why, but playing against a Dark Eldar player whose armor is crap, so all my AP doesn't really matter, AP 5 and AP 4. Doesn't really make a difference.
Not at all.
But you got lots of vehicles.
Yeah.
So that can make a big difference. But we'll see. So let's take a look at the armies as well as the board. We're going to start off by taking a look at Nick's Dark Eldar. He brought a fully mechanized list here, which will prove interesting in the Cities of Death game against Necrons. We've got 2 groups of witches here with the homunculus or whatever it is, and they're in raiders. So we have those 2 groups right there. So they're good close combat squads. And then we move over to 2 groups of racks, also good close combat squads. And they're also mounted in raiders. And raiders are open top, and they're also fast skimmers. So he's going to be able to outmaneuver me without any problem. And then we got 3 ravagers for some good shooting capabilities as well, as they each have 9 strength 5 AP2 hits. Now on my side, I have my 1,250 points of Necrons. And it's basically all of the Necrons that I've currently painted. Right here we have an Overlord with a Resurrection Orb, a War Scythe, Mind Shackle Scarabs, and a Phylactery. And a Necron Lord with the same thing, except he does not have a Phylactery, because he cannot take one. Then we have a group of 10 Immortals, with the Gauss weapons, not the Tesla. We have a group of 9 Warriors, they'll be in a Ghost Arc, and a group of 15 Warriors, just everything as is normal. And a group of 5 Death Marks, for a bit of support from the back. And we've got a Ghost Arc. We've got 2 groups of 3 Scarab Swarms. And finally, a group of Lich Guard armed with War Scythes. And like I said, this is exactly what I have, so I didn't really have much choice in what I could bring. But I still wanted to try out all the different troops that I had painted so far. So this is the board that we're playing on. We're actually doing it on a 6x4 board, even though it's only a 1,200 point game, because I knew that he is a fast army. And so we wanted to have a bit of space to maneuver around. And I'm not quite fast in my army. Not yet. Not until I get all the other Ghost Arcs done. So deployment, I won the roll-off, so I get to deploy first and go first, as long as he doesn't steal the initiative. We had to change the rules a bit for Cities of Death because it was written for 4th edition. And that it talks about deployment as just like 4th edition is. So we just did 5th edition deployment, but with table quarters, like Cities of Death calls for. So I chose this table quarter. And basically I put my Death Marks up in the Bastion. And then I have my Ghost Arc kind of spearheading the whole thing, hoping that his armor value of 13 will keep it alive for a little longer. And it's got the 9 Warriors plus the Necron Lord inside of it. And then all grouped around it are the Immortals and the Warriors, and then we have the Swarms and the Lich Guard. I'm kind of clumping everything together so that when he comes in I'm able to shoot him down, hopefully. But it's a pretty straightforward deployment. And I made sure I deployed my warriors in such a way that I could take the objectives. Now the way that the objectives work is there are 8 buildings on the board that all count as objectives. And basically you have to plant your flag to take it, and anything can take it as long as it's not an immobilized vehicle or a unit below 25% strength. And when you take it, you just go in base contact with the building, or you occupy the building. And as long as the opponent is not doing the same thing, you then put a token that the building is yours. You can leave the building after that, and it still remains yours, but the opponent could take it himself. And so whoever has the most buildings at the end of the game wins. So I rolled off. He did not steal the initiative, so I got to move up. So I move up 12 inches, just went at cruising speed with my skimmer. It is not a fast skimmer, so it can still only go 12 inches. Would have been nice if it was fast, but you know, take what I can get. The Ghost Arcs are actually pretty good. The Swarms move up. Everything is kind of hugging cover here because I know he can move around a lot. He's going to definitely outmaneuver me, so I have to prepare to be able to gun him down as much as I can. So I'm trying to make sure everybody has cover for all of his long-range Strength 5 AP2 shots, so that I can save as much as I can at a distance. So I'm moving the warriors in such a way that they'll be in cover no matter which angle he gets them at. So Dark Eldar, turn 1, he turbo boosts, no not turbo boost, he moves flat out with his fast skimmers, meaning they can move 24 inches as they are fast skimmers. And then he moves his Ravagers up in such a way that they can still fire, except for that one, he moved at 24 inches. So everything's moving around, getting ready to fire. The moving flat out is actually an advantage to me, because if I can glance them and immobilize them, I can actually knock them down. He opens fire with one of his Ravagers at my death marks, managing to take one of them down. The other one made the other one's made their cover saves. Second Ravager also opens fire and manages to wound 3, but I only lose 1 to a failed cover save. So they have to try to fall back, or see if they fall back. They do make their leadership, and so they do their reanimation protocols at the end of the shooting phase, and one of them comes back and the other one leaves. Sometimes I use tokens and sometimes I don't. It just depends if they're going to get in the way or not. So end of round 1, not much has happened. Total casualties, 1 death mark. So obviously neither side really at an advantage or disadvantage model-wise. But he does have a good positioning advantage over me, as I'm kind of huddled in my corner, and he's going to be able to pick all the fights with his open top vehicles. So that'll prove interesting. So stay tuned for part 2. If you're watching this on MiniWarGaming, the link will be below. If you're on YouTube, then you can just go ahead and click on the annotation to go to part 2. That's right here. Don't forget to subscribe either on MiniWarGaming or on YouTube, or both. And make sure you like this video and comment below who you think is going to win based on the army composition.